shadow people, if I may be so bold, they're more prevalent out in the woods and the wild.
It's just like some little kitty voice going, hee hee hee, wanna play? And this was very late at night.
Shadow people, are they just a different type of ghost, or are they something else, their own entity? There are all kinds of ghost hunters who report shadow people at various haunted locations, and I would say that it is one of the most common ones, just based on personal experience. The shadow people are definitely something that I would categorize as paranormal.
I feel like there's an overlap between shadow people and the paranormal.
Yes, they could be the souls of people who are trapped between heaven and hell, but not in limbo. Remaining mystical energy that needed to complete something in their life, but now really don't have the chance anymore.
I feel like most of them aren't necessarily evil, but there's a possibility. So I'm kind of still out on the fence on that, but it's probably one of those things. I don't want to test that theory, you know. It's kind of like the wild tiger. Most tigers are actually pretty keep to themselves, but there's always that one tiger that will attack you. So maybe you should steer clear of all of them, just as a safety precaution.
Some dismiss shadow people as simply an urban legend. Other people say that they are common ghosts. Others yet say that they are dangerous negative entities that can cause harm or do evil.
Ghosts could be just electronic phenomena, just residual energy left over, or mass hysteria delusions.
Okay, so do you believe in ghosts?
No, I don't.
You don't think there's any possibility?
I believe the possibility is very slim.
Do you believe in ghosts?
Yes, I believe eternal soul. So there's too much anecdotal evidence, folklore, too much evidence to prove that there's not something more to this extraneous three-dimensional world. So I believe it's not really necessarily ghosts, it's more energy, like good energy, bad energy.
From what I've seen of other possible videos of shadow people, they seem to move along somewhere and then just disappear. I would say when they disappear, yes, they could be entering that in-between area between where they were and where they are.
I think if ghosts were real, I think they would be some type of energy that was trans-dimensional.
Why do shadow people cause dread and anxiety? Is it something about their nature, or is it just the emotional reaction that people have?
So I feel like a lot of the shadow people or shadow energy can be negative and toxic. It's just you gotta view it like, do you want that energy? And the cool thing is you can actually banish a lot of that energy too. So,
have you ever seen a ghost?
I believe I might have. One time, it was about 3 a.m. I was helping on an independent movie feature, and I was a cameraman. 3 a.m. I'm tired. Everybody's tired. I kind of look up, and this place that we're in is a 3-story abandoned hotel, and we was in the patio pool area. It was a big open center area where the pool is. Everybody, all the hotel rooms were around it. So when you come out of the hotel room, now you'd be on the balcony and you see the pool. Now, when I had looked up, I believe I saw someone up on the 3rd floor. Now knew there's no one should have been up there on the 3rd floor. It's just dark shape, kind of humanoid. Like I said, kind of look like a woman. I'm not 100% sure. So I called the director over, saying, "Hey, who's up on the 3rd floor?" He goes, "There's nobody up there." And when I took a look again, no one. So it could have been a ghost. I mean, I'm sure nobody got on film. I know I didn't, because I had the camera up on the action of the scene. But yeah, nothing. So I believe it's all ghosts, but I was tired.
A lot of the paranormal, you could argue a lot of that's like visualization, and you're seeing things, sometimes it's not there. So one of the things that they've discovered is there's no particular organ on your body that's psi receptive, but they're thinking more in terms like your whole nervous system is receptive. That's the reason why some people can hear ghosts or see ghosts or smell ghosts, because if you think about it, a lot of the ghost stories talk about certain senses that are heightened. Some of them, like there's like a character named the Hatman, there seems to be like some sort of evil radiating from this. So I suspect some of this is like people are seeing from their ability, but One of the things they talk about in remote viewing is to develop your 6th and 7th senses. And one of the things that they keep talking about is weirdly enough, is ambiance. And they talk about, and I was like, well, what would ambiance be with psychic phenomenon? But they talk about it's like, it's your subconscious field. And you know how when you go into a room, you can kind of tell if people are having a good day, bad day, that kind of thing. And I think with shadow people, if you can see them or sense them, there's usually some sort of emotion behind whatever these things are.
Oftentimes, people will report the hatman, which is a shadow person with a silhouette with a fedora-like hat on the top of the head. And this is specifically the hatman, and sometimes it will have red eyes, glowing red eyes. Now, in some countries, like Turkey, for example, there is a legend that if you take the hat off the hatman, they call it something else, they refer to it as a jinn, that the jinn becomes your slave.
No, I've heard nothing of this story. Nope.
What do you think about the idea that people frequently see shadow people with a hat?
I think once these myths get started, then other people latch onto it, and it's a form of entertainment. And I think that sometimes it just becomes trendy to say that you saw that.
Why a hat?
I don't know, but there's also the hat, but there's also a flannel shirt. So I don't know if there's specific meaning behind this. I don't know, but I'm assuming there's some sort of anecdotal kind of evidence. But I feel like a lot of these energies, wherever they come from, they mimic universal fears and energies. So something about that hat just really, really terrifies people.
People oftentimes hallucinate spiders when they first wake up. I think this is because people have a built-in fear of spiders from evolution. And it is a very ancient and primal fear. It's a shape that our brain recognizes as dangerous, especially since all humans come from Africa. And in ancient Africa, I would imagine spiders would be very dangerous. So many stories involve the shadow people wearing a hat. This is very odd and unsettling. The hat is not some ancient shape like a spider. It is modern invention and not something inherently part of the human form. This leads me to think that maybe shadow people are actually paranormal, especially when so many stories involve the brimmed fedora-like hat. You used to live in a haunted house, didn't you?
Yes.
Did you notice anything then?
No, we never noticed anything.
A get together, there's always that one person like, I don't feel nothing, don't feel nothing, don't feel nothing. And it's not that the energy can't come around, it's just he's putting out, like he or she's putting out on a subconscious level all this energy that's repelling this energy anyways, on a subconscious level.
Okay, you hear what might be footsteps up on the ceiling, might actually just be the house settling a little.
Some people theorize that shadow people feed off of fear, and by not believing in them or refusing to have negative feelings in regards to them, they will actually not manifest, and you won't even encounter them.
Some people can take photos of a room and see ghosts, and other people will take pictures of the exact same room and not see something. So I feel like energy and spirits want to make themselves known. They want to be seen. Part of the shadow people, they want to be seen. Have you ever used a spirit board?
No. That's one of the things that the movies always tell you, don't mess with that. And I don't.
And you work with a historic building that is known to have ghosts, right? So have you ever seen anything there?
No, I haven't.
But don't you know people there who work there seeing things?
Sometimes they say they do, but I personally have not seen it.
I feel like a lot of the shadow people is kind of like, some people are more sensitive to certain forms of ultraviolet light. It could be that some people are more sensitive to see that kind of energy.
I don't think it's incompatible with biology and physics, but it would certainly require a lot of unusual circumstances to converge in biology and in physics.
I was doing a theater production at MSU, and part of the thing is you had to tear the stage down, and it only had theater students. So it was Button Auditorium. Everything was locked down. I forget, it was like 12:30, maybe 1 in the morning. And I was at the lip of the stage. It was just a couple of seconds. And I look over, and there's a woman sitting by herself in the seats. And it didn't really register. It didn't seem like a ghost. It was just like, I thought it was really strange. So I turned to the director and I said, hey, I thought this place was supposed to be locked off. No one's supposed to be in here. And he was like, Williams, there's no one supposed to be in here. And I turned back and the person's gone. Now, what bothered me was it wasn't a ghost where it was like shimmering and all. It just looked like a real person just looking at me. That really shook me a little bit.
Now, I've heard from a few different people that the way to defeat a shadow person, so to speak, is to laugh at it. That is, if one is following you and you laugh at it, it will dissipate.
Their energy, they feed off negative energy. So I feel like maybe that's the reason why shadow people, if I may be so bold, they're more prevalent out in the woods and the wild.
People have been talking about shadow people for hundreds of years. In multiple cultures, they often accompany the witness with a feeling of negativity or dread. Although people have theorized that they are beings from another dimension, or maybe that they are even aliens, they often appear to be around haunted locations or older places where ghost sightings occur. Descriptions are oftentimes similar.
It could also be energy of people from that particular place.
Some type of energy that might exist in an interdimensional arena and that was being picked up by us intermittently.
I haven't had any negative connotations, but I try to avoid going to any negative connotations too, if I can help it. But I feel like a lot of these energies can be banished. You know, like you said, laugh at a shadow person. I feel like positive energy.
Assuming ghosts are real, and they're actual entities. And perhaps they actually cause some negative ill effects on the human brain, or negativity in general. Perhaps they are detrimental to human health. It would make sense that humans would evolve then to be afraid of ghosts. And I actually wonder, all cultures seem to experience a fear of ghosts. And I actually wonder if they're real. Maybe this fear is a natural born instinct, in the same way that people are afraid of heights, or even afraid of snakes and spiders because they're venomous.
Well, I mean, with vampires, obviously the folklore, blood was considered like an essential part of magic from that time period. I feel like, and people can say this every day, there's people that bring energy to you and take energy away from you. So I think vampirism, especially of life force energy, is very real. Everyone has that one person that drains you, that one person that brings energy to you. So I feel like that's one of those provable, one of those paranormal instances that are so commonplace, it's mundane. But when you think of like, oh, if that person drains my energy, that's vampirism right there.
Not energy sucking, not blood, as people would most likely thinking, but I would say probably just a type of magic that would suck either personal energy or area energy. It's something that would just pull energy in from around the area or off of someone in particular.
I feel like a lot of these creatures and cryptids are kind of interconnected.
As a child, I had a very vivid imagination. So the stories I'm about to tell may have just been my imagination. Now, I remember specifically the linen closet next to my bedroom, which was a closet where you keep the vacuum and bed sheets and that kind of thing. I remember seeing shadow people in that closet. And I also remember having this recurring, maybe it was a nightmare, but I kind of thought it was real. This recurring thought that there was a shadow hand that came up above my headboard while I was asleep in bed. So my head would be right here, the headboard would be here, and the shadow hand would come over and I'd see it. Now, were these just dreams? Were these just things that I remembered incorrectly? And being an imaginative kid that I was, this all could have just been fabricated. But I do have these vague memories in mind. And I also wonder if these shadow people are real entities. Maybe they're all related to all these other cryptids or other things, like sightings of black-eyed kids or other phenomenon people see.
I feel like it's another entity, or it could be the same entities like shadow people, just with different face, different energy.
If I saw something that was clearly paranormal,
Yes.
I had a paranormal experience, yes, that would change my mind.
How much would it have to be, though?
It would have to be something that was very clearly out of the realm of the ordinary.
Okay, so you know somebody who's seen a black-eyed kid?
Okay, she did not actually see a kid, but she heard some sounds that that very childlike. She was out recording some dog audio because she was having a thing against one of her neighbors who was just letting a dog bark. And at one point, like I said, just a little audio recorder, and her phone just recording the audio sounds, and there were some weird effects on the audio, which I know she did not do, and I believe she might have heard, without actually seeing it, it's just like some little kitty voice going, hee hee hee, wanna play? And this was very late at night. So yeah, definitely no kids would have been out in her area at that time of night. So, no, she didn't actually see it, but she did hear something.
I am personally impressed by the collective evidence of ghost hunters. That is, ghost hunters I know and ghost hunters on television. To me, having a knowledge of video effects and things of that nature, CGI, I know that doing a lot of these things would be very difficult, especially, for example, night vision footage. And even if it was faked, even if all the ghost hunting evidence caught on camera on television, let's say it's all fake, I still have seen things personally on ghost hunts that freak me out or have me like, wow, no one had time to fake this. I know that this is real.
Another time, and this bothered me too, where I work at, you have an elevator and you have people with these big carts loading supplies moving around. And I had gotten on there on the 4th floor and I was kind of sneaking off to go to the vending machine. And there was somebody who had a big cart, was trying to get on there. The elevator stopped, I think at the 3rd floor, something like that, 3rd floor. Opened up, someone got on, he kind of acknowledged me and got behind me. And no big deal. I was like, okay. We get to the basement and the door's open and the person with the big cart's trying to get off here. And I'm like embarrassed, because I'm like, oh, come on, let's get off of the elevator. So I turned to the person that was behind me and there's no one there. And there's no way that person could have gone around me. So that really shook me. So I was like, okay, obviously I have some sort of sensitivity to that. That's the reason why when people are like, hey, do you want to go to a haunted house or this? I'm like, it's okay, guys. I'll watch it from afar. How about that?
Most people, even skeptics, believe if ghosts exist, they must be some sort of energy. This does correlate with the concept of using an EMF detector. But what kind of energy is this exactly?
I feel like a lot of the shadow people is kind of like some people are more sensitive to certain forms of ultraviolet light. It could be that some people are more sensitive to see that kind of energy.
A thought form is a theoretical construct where if people believe in something enough and enough people believe in it, something will manifest into reality. Some people think that ghosts or even Bigfoot are thought forms created by the collective consciousness of many people. That is to say that if enough people together believe in some myth, that it becomes something into being, into actuality. Could shadow people be a strange thought form, manifesting from people's collective anxiety?
Bigfoot sightings don't make sense. Because if you think about it, if there's a 9-foot tall Bigfoot, it would easily overtake these people at scares. Like, oh my God, it's Billy and she had the walker. There's no way a real animal would like, okay, it'd let grandma walk down the hill. It'd eat grandma, okay? So if you take that they're not really animals, they're doing something. What are they doing? They're making you scared. They're feeding off your life force energy, whatever you're putting out. So if you're laughing at these things, then it probably messes with this feeding process, and it's like, kind of like drinking sour milk. Happy emotions. So
astral travel is a fascinating concept where one is supposedly able to leave one's body. In an out-of-body experience that is done through meditation. Some claim that perhaps shadow people are actual people having an out-of-body experience. But if this is true, it is reasonable to assume that a ghost would produce the same effect.
I've talked to several people who have seen them. My personal take on a lot of the shadow people is that our eyesight and our sense of self and senses are very minute, very finite. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that other things just outside of our line of sight could kind of bleed into that peripheral edge of our vision, an overlap between our senses and our latent psi ability.
Sleep paralysis could be a cause of some of these shadow people sightings. It's when you wake up but your body is still paralyzed in a sleep state. You are able to look around your room and dream while you are awake. Oftentimes the waking dreams are terrifying, and people all over the world share the same situations. This is where stories like the old hag or other folklore most likely come from.
Sleep paralysis could account for some of the shadow people sightings, as people become frantic and may view threatening faces or threatening shadows in a room in which they feel vulnerable. Also, pareidolia is when people see faces in everyday objects, and this is a common thing that occurs to everyone at some time or another. And I think that could also be a factor in people seeing, for instance, a face in smoke or haze, and when there's obviously not a figure there in reality.
Pareidolia is a common phenomenon where human brain sees faces in everyday objects. Some scientists argue that shadow people are an extension of this phenomena. When people are tired, they may be seeing human shapes and forms where there are none. This is a perfectly reasonable explanation for shadow people. It is true that when you are tired, you will experience hallucinations. While we were filming this documentary, these questions in this room, which is reportedly haunted, we had these malfunctions on the microphone.
He wonders if it was this UFO book that I was messing with, I was reading. Because sometimes energy gets trapped in books. I never realized this. But I had read this book. It's about UFO researchers meeting untimely deaths. Not a good sign. Anyways.
What was this? Was it a paranormal event or just a common microphone technical issue? Now, this room has a lot of antiques in it, and we did have somebody report that they had seen a ghost in this room just feet away from where Jerry is doing this interview.
I ask you to show me a sign of paranormal activity here on camera right now. All right. I guess I shouldn't ask, I should just command it. I command you to show yourself in front of this camera right now. I'm telling you right now. Don't make me get angry. Show yourself right now. You can feel you're draining my energy, so obviously you're trying to manifest somehow. I definitely feel tingling in my hands, dude. So something's in here. Yeah, see? Yeah, you can feel that energy too, can't you?
Yeah, kind of, but I don't feel anything cool, though. There used to be a light right here, and I remember several times it turning on and off on its own.
Negative. I definitely get a bad, bad vibe. I just feel like this room. Huh?
I'm feeling cold air. Cold air.
Yeah, I'm feeling it too. Yeah, I've got goosebumps.
Oh, this is weird. I've got goosebumps.
Yeah, I got goosebumps too. Do you want me to talk about it again? I can do it. See if the same thing happened.
Why do you think the microphone went off there? Do you think that was paranormal?
I feel like if you talk about these entities, they're kind of in your field. Some people, when they think about the paranormal, humans only have like an X amount of space. So I suppose when you talk about them, they're kind of they're temporarily linked to whatever you are. So if there's electronics devices, they tend to be strange. I'll tell the story again, see if, and I kind of felt this weird sensation that I was being probed, or not necessarily probed, but I felt a presence. It's difficult to describe, but anyways, something peripheral popped up in my peripheral vision, and then it formed into a solid image of an unsmiling woman with really dark eyes just staring at me. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like, and since my daughter was very young, I didn't want to panic her. Daddy's having a meltdown. Because I kept thinking, I was like, is this medication? And what really bothered me was I was moving my head around and the face moved with the background. So it wasn't like, so that archetype was right in my field of vision no matter where I turned. So I'm starting to hit the panic button. I'm like, what the hell is this? Okay, do I have to call the doctor? And I visualized a brick wall, just went away, just went away, just went away. I'm like, so every time I tried to push it away, gone. And it was really scaring me because I'm like, okay, I'm having dinner with my daughter. There's a woman that's in my peripheral vision. I cannot account for it. I have no idea. I'm not taking anything that should cause hallucinatory sensation. So I was like really panicking. So, at the very end, I, called upon a higher power and finally it went away. But here's the thing that bothered me. I felt like somebody was kind of trying to ascertain my abilities, but also to see if I was a threat. That was the thing that I got from it. I was under observation, and it just, really bothered me.
Shadow people are a common ghost sighting, and I would personally like to see more of them. I would actually personally like to see more ghosts in general. Anyway, thanks for watching.
Don't talk about the ghost.
Hold up, let me turn it off and on.
We will suck your soul.
I didn't know how to. I figure if you can get rid of the bad energy that way, and now it's those puppets are safe.
Jerry, can you hand me that towel, please?
You're the worst director.
Check.
Okay.